city of Philly, where the birds take flight. Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Marcus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. 9 guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle, soars in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle, soars in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.
Yeah. What's good, beautiful
it.
people? You guys are tuned into the Eagles pregame show featuring Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk and yours truly, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Marcus, how you feeling today, sir?
I am good, brother. I am good. Appreciate you, Ace Boogie, for the love on the intro. I was up last night late doing that one, so I appreciate the love, appreciate your appreciation. But I'm doing good, man. Still full from eating all that Thanksgiving food. It was nice, man. Nice holiday, very relaxing. Did a whole lot of nothing besides cooking and eating. And so yeah, man, I'm happy we are here. The Eagles playing well. Little sad news with BG, but at the end of the day, we got a face off today, man, and it's coming down, man. This was going to be a battle. This was going to be a battle. So I'm excited, brother.
Yeah, for sure. You brought up a good point, with the Thanksgiving holiday. A lot of distractions this week for the players, man. A lot of good food, a lot of family loving, a lot of people at the dinner table singing your praises, saying, hey, y'all going all the way. What y'all going to do? Do I think y'all got a chance? It's been a lot. It's been a hard week, a very fascinating week for football in particular. But this matchup is something that we've been thinking about. We've talked about. We've been previewing for a long time. And the Eagles, they didn't just get here by chance. They didn't just get to a 9-2 record by accident, right? They actually put in the work. They put in the man hours of self-scouting, finding out their weaknesses, and leaning into their strengths. And I'm sure people could say the same thing about the Baltimore Ravens, but it just seems to me that the Baltimore Ravens, although they are who they are, we know how dominant they can be and have been at times. I would argue that the Philadelphia Eagles have been the more consistent team over the course of the past several weeks. What's your thoughts when I say something like that?
I would agree. Baltimore has had a couple of mishaps and close games and caught a couple strays, but for the most part, the Eagles have been playing on par ever since the bye week, man. We've been on top of it. Vic Fangio, whatever recipe he's done figured out is working. Because these boys on defense is playing. We knew we had a good secondary. We knew that. Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond playing as well. Nobody saw that coming. We had hints of Jalen Carter. BG was better than expected before he got injured. Nolan Smith looks like he's finally arrived.
Right.
And of course, Jomo and Milt Williams and Sweat. Everybody's playing up to par, but I think the biggest thing for Philadelphia is those linebackers, man. Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond have been so far above our expectations, man. It's been crazy, and I think that's been the difference this year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. They've been good in coverage. They've been good in run defense, setting the edges, hitting the gaps. And Fangio's been really creative in how he's been using them as well, especially in Nakobe Dean. We've seen Nakobe Dean rush the passer. We've seen Nakobe Dean tackling in the open field. I mean, when he's on an island by himself, one tackle that stands out to me is in that Washington Commanders game,
yes, sir,
when Jaden Daniels broke free. And honestly, Jaden Daniels had the edge on him. And somehow, some way, Nakobe Dean stayed disciplined, didn't overreact to anything he showed him, and he made the tackle short of a first down. So those are the kind of plays you're actually going to need to see from the linebackers, especially today, going up against Lamar Jackson, who is quite literally the most explosive, the most electric quarterback in the NFL. I mean, I think it goes without saying that Lamar Jackson has probably been having his best statistical season at the quarterback position. I think he leads the league in touchdown passes, passing yards, rushing yards at the quarterback position. I mean, he's been a very dynamic player. When you think about what Lamar Jackson does, right, and how it can put so much stress on the defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
Speak on the level of discipline that's going to be required, not just from those linebackers we're talking about, but from those edge rushers and those those slot corners and just the overall defense.
It's going to be the same thing that we hear other teams say and do when they play us. The edges have got to be disciplined. They can't over pursue. They can't go too far up the field, lest Jalen Hurts slip underneath them and he takes off. Same rules apply with Lamar Jackson. Even more so because Lamar Jackson is a little bit more explosive than Jalen is. So you have to respect his speed. We are going to be in the same boat because we are looking at the same weapons. I think we have the benefit of having more weapons at the wide receiver position, but I think Lamar Jackson more than makes up for that with what he's doing behind the center, man. He's dropping back. He's putting the ball on target, on time. And when he's got to get out of there, he does Lamar Jackson things that nobody else can do. So we have got to be disciplined. Our linebackers, this is going to be another line. This is going to be a linebacker / edge game because Nolan Smith, he is on notice because if he over pursues and gets too high, you got to stay at quarterback depth. So that way, when you stay at quarterback depth, if you go too high, he slips right underneath you. If you try to cut him off, he'll go right around you. So you got to get at quarterback depth. That way, regardless if he tries to break behind you or slip underneath, you can use your arms and still try to make the play. So that's where that discipline you was talking about comes into play. But it is much easier said than done. Much easier said than done. And Lamar, just with his explosive speed, he's always a threat to move the chains on you, man. So, but having said all of that, he still took a loss in Cleveland. He still, took a loss with the Steelers. So you can still get him. He can still get got, but discipline, I'm with you, man. That's the word of the day.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Lamar Jackson, you want to get hands and feet on him, right? You want to put the paws on him. But what typically goes wrong in these type of games, especially on the defensive side, the opposing team that's playing the Ravens, that is, there can be a lot of over pursuing. And you spoke on the Nolan Smith aspect of it, right? He's a young guy, plays with a lot of speed. He's going to have to remain disciplined and not rely so heavily on that speed and rely more so on just containing, right? I think this is one of those games where sacks aren't going to be at a premium.
I agree.
Sacks, in my opinion, shouldn't be something that you're going into this game trying to get. There are some games where, okay, you got a quarterback that's a mannequin. Okay, let's try to get him to the ground as soon as possible, right? But this is the kind of game where I believe containment is more valuable than sacks. Pressure is more valuable than the sack itself. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree with you. Because Lamar, although he has been relatively good this year, he's known to have a off play. I know there's been a couple of situations where there should have been interceptions and it didn't happen, whether the ball was blocked or something like that. But when you get him moving around, as long as you can keep him where he's looking to pass, you got an opportunity because sometimes he makes mistakes when he's improvising too much. So, and he's had a couple turnovers where he puts the ball on the ground, so that possibility exists. But again, discipline is the word of the day. I think we're going to get him. I can see us getting 2 or 3 sacks today, but Lamar is one of those people where you can sack him for a 7-yard loss and then he gets a 14-yard run on you. So it all depends on what down and distance is. with the way the situation has been going this year, I know Vic Fangio's been in the film room, so I know he's gonna have something ready. I know he's looked at the Browns game. I know he's went all the way back and looked at the Chiefs and the Raiders game. They lost to the Raiders, yo. How they lose to the Raiders?
Yeah.
So there has to be something there that you can exploit, that's on film, that you can say, okay, now I see some things that are happening. And the flip side of that is, I'm sure the Ravens have looked at that things too and tried to, okay, we got to get rid of that and we got to fix that. So it's the tried and true chess match that's going to be going on today. And that's going to be the other thing we got to talk about is the coaching. So this is also a game for Sirianni. Can Sirianni show that he can hang with the big boys and not get out coached? Not your players coming, bailing you out of a couple of situations. Now he's been good as of late, but I think this is going to be a good test where you can say, okay, now I like to see what my coach did. Now I like what he did against a high level coach. Now you're getting over that barrier and you're eliminating some of those criticisms that were valid that people had about you.
Just to push back on that, because I definitely want to stay on the defensive side a little longer, but you brought up a Nick Sirianni point that was interesting about can he hang with the upper echelon of coaches, right? And I mean, when you have the winning resume that he has accumulated over the past few years, I mean, you don't get that without beating some pretty high level coaches. I mean, he's beaten Sean McVay twice. He's beaten Matt LaFleur twice. He's split with Kyle Shanahan, right? He's beaten Andy Reid at one point during the regular season. He's beaten some pretty good coaches, right? But not to be cheeky. I think your point is still valid. This is a new season,
right?
And let's not pretend Nick Sirianni hasn't been under the barrel of a gun all year. So I do believe your point is still valid. I also still add to that pot that he has beaten some guys on his resume and has beaten them more than once. Guys that are pretty astute in this game offensively, of course. Again, the Sean McVays and the Matt LaFleurs of the world, and even Kyle Shanahan. So I think the more interesting angle is how Lamar Jackson does it still stand that he hasn't lost to an NFC team yet in his career? Is that still a thing?
I don't know. I have to look that up
because
I hadn't heard that.
That's been something that's been on his resume. He hasn't lost to an NFC team yet in his career. I think that's on his resume right now. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so Matthew Peter says 24-1. So he doesn't lose to NFC teams, basically. He doesn't lose to them. So that is 23-1. Got it. So that is something to keep an eye on. Now, surely those are the kind of stat lines that at the end of the day don't have any bearing on game day, but it's something it's something that stands out to you that this guy just, hey, say what you want about him in his own conference. He takes care of things when it's intercontinental or an interconference match. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So yeah, man. Getting back to the defensive side though, there's going to be some interesting matchups. The thing about the Ravens is that their running back situation is what's obviously standing out. Obviously, they got Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely, and Mark Andrews. But Derrick Henry, I think he's another guy that's going to be a really fascinating case study for this defense. He's going to really test how tight that chin strap is.
Yeah. Yes, he is. I hate to say it, but we might see a lot of Eagles making business decisions today. So, but having said that, you go back in history a couple years ago, and we did put the blueprint out on how to stop them. So we did play Tennessee a couple years ago where we were at the end of the game, the quarterback had more yards rushing than King Henry.
That's a good point.
And I think the biggest thing to do, and we can do this if for no other reason, because Milt Williams and Jalen Carter have been playing off the chains lately. They've been getting penetration. They've been winning the pushback on the line of scrimmage. And to be able to stop Derrick Henry, you got to get him. You got to put hands on him before he hits the line of scrimmage.
Right.
If you can hit him at the line of scrimmage at the latest, he can't get that momentum going, and you can stop him, because that's how we stopped him a couple years ago. Now, the Ravens have a pretty good offensive line, but I still think we have a better defensive line in that regard. And if you go look at the matchup, I still think we win the get-off battle at the snap of the ball, and that's going to play huge. Jalen Carter, he's got to come up big today. And if you saw the game last week, how many double teams Jalen Carter was getting? We talked about that. We was going
over 70%. Over 70% of his pass rush snaps, he was double teamed. Oh.
And then what happened? Nolan Smith, he got the chance to eat. Milt Williams got a chance to eat. So that's going to be the thing to get King Henry slowed down. He's going to get his, but we just got to eliminate those splash plays, and we got to keep the momentum behind the line of scrimmage so he doesn't do what Saquon been doing to everybody else.
Right.
So, but I think we can do it because, like I said, Jalen Carter has been off the chain lately, man. And everybody, the good thing about Jalen Carter, same thing, Jalen Carter and Saquon Barkley are on the same like ship. All right. You know what's coming. You know when it's coming. You know how it's coming. And you know where it's going. And you still can't stop them. That's the good thing about those two. Everybody, you can even go back when Saquon was with the Giants. They ain't have nobody else to go to, and you still couldn't stop him. Now he got an offensive line. They know he getting the ball. You still can't stop him. Jalen Carter, you double team him. You still can't stop him. He's still getting pressures. He's still getting to the quarterback. So that's a good situation to be in, because it's going to force, specifically now talking about Jalen Carter, he's going to force Derrick Henry to move before he wants to move. When you're a running back, you want to hit the hole first, and by the time you get to the line of scrimmage, you should know where you're going with the ball. You should be able to read the blocks and see what's happening. That's me going off of, why I like zone reads so much.
Right.
But if somebody gets to you, it makes you change course. Now you're worrying about him and not where you're supposed to go. That's how you slow down Derrick Henry.
Here's the thing, man, about those two players, Saquon and Derrick Henry. According to NFL Next Gen stats, Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry each ranked top 2 in rushing yards this season, helping both their teams rank top 2 in rushing yards per game. On top of that, Barkley and Henry each have 500 plus more rushing yards than their former team's leading rusher. That's insane.
It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous, man. I mean, obviously we know what Saquon does. We know what Derrick Henry does. Josh Jacobs is another name you got to throw in there.
Yes.
Aaron Jones is another name you got to throw in there. Those were 4 of the top running backs on the market during the offseason, and they have completely shifted the fortune of all their respective franchises. You got to give credit to those GMs and those teams for overlooking the trend that is running backs are a dying breed, and that they have no real impact on winning in the end, and that you don't have to invest big money in the position. And those 4 guys are proving that that's not the case at all. Even if you want to go to the lowest level of it, with Aaron Jones being number 4 on that list unequivocally, Aaron Jones has made life significantly easier for Sam Darnold. Derrick Henry has made life easier for Lamar Jackson, Josh Jacobs, and Jordan Love, Saquon Barkley to Jalen Hurts.
Look what Joe Mixon is doing in Houston.
Another good point. They not
Kareem
last
Hunt.
2 years. They picked him up the off season where they drafted CJ Stroud. They knew they wanted a running back for their young rookie.
Yeah.
So again, people want to pretend that, or these prognosticators, these football nerds want to pretend that, this is a passing league. And it's like, okay, well, you say that, but when it comes to the top teams in this league who are winning and winning big, they have a strong running game, and they got a strong to excellent defense.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, the Eagles, their passing game isn't ranked in the top 10, but
they don't have
they're so explosive. You would never know that.
Yeah, and if you look at Lamar Jackson, it's not like he's been throwing the ball all over the field. Lamar Jackson only has 2 games. Let me see. He's only got 2 games above 300 yards. That's it. He got a game that's 177 that they won. You know what I'm saying? He got what else? That he got a game 156 that they won.
Right.
You know, against Buffalo. The Cowboys 182. How they struggle against the Cowboys, man. So you it's gonna be there. He doesn't have to throw the ball all over the place. Jalen doesn't have to throw the ball all over the place. You know, that's just what the people on TV want to see. But at the end of the day, when you got a running back like Saquon Barkley, when you got a running back like Derrick Henry, it makes life for you as a quarterback easier. I did a video this week, and I was kind of giving some pushback on what Jason Kelsey said on Rich Eisen, where he was like, the Eagles have never had a running back like Saquon. And I was like, pause a little bit there, because it's not the running back. And everybody kind of came at me like, Saquon is so much better than Miles Sanders, because I mentioned Miles Sanders. And I said, well, here's the deal. Never did I say that Miles Sanders was better than Saquon. That's not even up for debate. He's not even close.
Right.
My point is that when Miles Sanders was here, if they would have ran Miles Sanders like they are running Saquon, Miles Sanders would have been top 3 in the league in rushing. Josh Jacobs won that year. He won the rushing title. Based on the math, I believe that. And the
math is telling you that. My eyes is telling me no. Because as much as I love Miles Sanders, I feel like Miles Sanders can be inconsistent, and sometimes he can be big play hunting too much.
He can, but you can say that almost about any back.
But I think what stood out about Saquon this year, at least to me, is not really the big plays. It's the patience he's had, being okay with the 4-yard run, the 3-yard run, the 6-yard run, going in between the tackles, not trying to turn everything into a home run. I think that's what stood out to him.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
But the point of the article was,
okay,
it wasn't about the running back. It was about the offensive line. We had the offensive line even back then to bully everybody, because we were shouting from the rooftops even back then. How come we don't run the ball more? How come we didn't run the ball more? And then what happened? We got DeAndre Swift, and we was like, oh, snap. And we did the same thing. We didn't run the ball enough. We didn't even throw him the screen passes. And he still got 1,000 yards. So now my point is, now you got Saquon, somebody that you paid and you know the pedigree. So yes, you're going to make him a bell cow, and it's paying dividends. And all I was simply saying was, we could have been doing that 3 seasons ago. We could, because our offensive line has been that good. And at me as a running back, I look at the Eagles and like, y'all been sitting on this. Y'all got a Hellcat in the garage that just been sitting in the garage. And it's not the running back, it's the engine, it's the offensive line that's been crushing everybody. We had the can you imagine Saquon running behind Jason Kelsey? And Swift and Sanders had an opportunity to run behind Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson when Lane Johnson was 3 years younger, and they still didn't do it right. Now we're doing it right, and you see what we get.
I hear what you. I hear you. I guess where I get pushback is like, you know, the Eagles were top 5 in rushing when they had Miles Sanders running the rock. You know what I mean? They were averaging 147 a game. Only teams that were ahead of them were Chicago, Baltimore, Atlanta, and the Giants. But that year they were ranked 5th in rushing yards per game. And
now hold on real quick.
Yes.
You don't have to go overboard, but bring it back to the math. That year with Miles Sanders, what happens if you add 5 more carries a game? Just 5. I'm not talking about he carries 25 and 30 times.
Right.
So let's say he gets to 15, 20 consistently every game. Every now and then you'll peak, get 23, 25, something like that.
To your point, there were plenty of games on the jacket where I said to myself, we didn't give Miles Sanders the ball enough.
Nope.
There were plenty of games where I said that for sure.
How many games did we complain? Like, how Miles Sanders, how DeAndre Swift going to have 3 carries in the first half?
No, I understand that Sanders definitely wasn't getting fed probably the way he should, right? And mathematically, you could be right mathematically. But when I watch Saquon play, and obviously you're not saying he's better, you're not even saying he's close to that. I want to make that very clear. People want to overreact to that. You're not saying he's better than Saquon or even on the level of Saquon.
No.
You're saying that if the Eagles would have committed to the run the way they have now, they would have similar numbers or similar production. That's what you're saying.
At the very least, a lot better. And it's all come down to the offensive line. And everybody knows we had the best offensive line.
But doesn't that come down to the personnel, right? I mean, when you tell me, right, you're a coach, you're looking at your personnel, and you say to yourself, okay, I have this guy. I know what this guy's capable of. I'm going to give him the ball more so versus, okay, I had this guy the previous year or the previous 2 years. Sure, we get a lot of running yards when we had him, but there's a difference between this guy and that. You know, you get where I'm going with this. Like sometimes when you got a certain guy on your roster, it shifts the pendulum in terms of your in-game decisions. I mean, Saquon Sanders.
I do that, and that's why I don't want to keep pumping Miles Sanders. I want to pump the offensive line. The offensive line has always been the key.
It's more so about you're trying to give credit to that line.
That has always been the key. Always been the key. And
of
they
course.
just didn't use them enough because the offensive line would tell you themselves. I can all go back to the year we went to the Super Bowl when we played in Chicago and when Jalen got hurt because they ran the ball 17 times and it was 17 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. Why are you running the ball like that? Get the ball to your running back.
I remember that game. That was strange. I remember that.
Yeah. So we've had opportunities to do that, and the offensive line has always been this good. Maybe not quite like this, where you got Lane Johnson and Mailata and Cam Jurgens and Dickerson and Mekhi Becton. Them boys, Mekhi Becton is the same size as damn Jordan Mailata at guard.
Yeah, I think what we're witnessing here with the Saquon Barkley Eagles marriage is that it's a hand in glove fit.
Yeah,
right. He fits exactly what they want to do right now. He complements everybody around him, and everybody's playing better because of it. And I think he brings something that no running back that we've seen maybe since Shady McCoy brings to the table, and that's having that knockout punch factor, that explosive play factor. I mean, that's the kind of thing that keeps defenses on edge. Any given play, Saquon can and will take it to the house. That will be nerve-wracking to me if I'm the Baltimore Ravens defense, because yes, they are one of the better run defenses for sure, but they haven't been tackling as well this year, and their secondary has been very, very terrible.
Yeah,
so
that's the bonus.
I felt like if at any point Saquon Barkley is able to get to that second level, I think he's gone. Because again, I know their front four, their front seven is legitimate. I'm not saying they can't stop the run, but if Saquon Barkley can wiggle his way to the second level, I think he can have that secondary for lunch. Quite frankly,
the difference with Barkley, and I think people forget this, is that he spent so many years in New York where he was the option. Period. So he's used to everybody coming for him. And he still found a way to slip through. Now, again, when you got that offensive line, he's got some wiggle room. He's got even more wiggle room, and he knows it's going to be there. The only thing that's holding Saquon Barkley back is how Kellen Moore calls the plays. I'm still bitching and moaning because he calls so many up-the-gut runs when I want him to stretch it out with the zone reads first, then set up the cutbacks. It's been working. But again, sometimes we get these coaches that they stuck in their ways and they want to prove that they're the smartest guy in the room, and you don't have to be. Don't be the smartest guy in the room. Be the obvious, because you know what works. They know what works, and they can't stop it. So I've counted, I want to say 4 touchdown runs by Saquon where he was not touched. You know how difficult that is?
He had over 150 yards last game before contact. Some guys don't get those yardages with contact.
when you are scoring touchdowns and you are not touched, that means your offensive line is getting to their man, and more importantly, they are getting to the next level.
And to throw into that pot, if we're giving offensive lineman love, I want to give those receivers and tight ends some love too, because they've been springing them as well. There's been times I know we get on Grant Calcaterra for his inconsistent blocking, And sure, you maybe don't want Calcaterra blocking in pass pro. You don't want him going backwards. You definitely probably don't want him having to hold on to a block too long. But if you tell him to go hit a guy in space and make an impact block, he's been doing that. He's like, there was a couple runs in that Rams game where you just watch where Calcaterra is. Yeah. And if Calcaterra doesn't get his man, Saquon gets tackled.
Right.
You know, so I want to give credit to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Calcaterra and, you know, Goddard. I got to give credit to those guys for being able to hold their blocks long enough on the second level, because, you know, Saquon is remarkable at finding space. There were so many runs in that Rams game where I just kept saying to myself, oh, he's going to pop one, because they were letting him get into this. They were letting him get to the second level way too much, and they were only stopping him by the length of a shoestring.
Yeah.
So
they've been good about getting to the second level and staying on the man. The only person I got issues with when it comes to blocking is A.J. Brown. There's been a couple of plays like, AJ, you got to get that block, dude. You know they running the screen to your side. You got to get that block. And to me, sometimes AJ just looks lazy out there, making it like, dude, get in front of the dude, do something.
Do you think he's still nursing a little bit of a? Because remember, he's done with the hamstring and stuff like that. So do you think he's careful about where he exerts himself?
It's possible, but I don't care.
Understood.
You on the field, bro, and you get paid a lot of money to be the best there is at what you do, and you are that. So I have that expectation for you. I don't want excuses that your hamstring. You know what? Box him out like you playing basketball. Whatever you got to do, but don't let your man get his head blowed off because you couldn't get a block.
Yeah, Calcaterra does that a lot. He'll box you out. If he can't get you, he'll just box you out.
Yeah, man.
Listen, my thing is a block is a block. I don't care how you do it. Block is a block, man.
So, and it doesn't happen often. It's just with AJ, it's just when it happens, you like, oh, because I've seen a couple times where he missed the block and he's like, that was on me. And I'm like, oh. And the further you get in the season, which we're at the back half of the season now, you have to take advantage of every opportunity you get. Every opportunity.
I think AJ in particular, right? I think he's beginning to understand.
Yeah, China.
I think he's beginning to understand that he's been asked about the whole Saquon Barkley dynamic more so lately than previously in the season. And I think they've all come to terms with the fact that they have something special back there.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about, because he said, you know, I played with Henry too. I was like, damn, he did.
Yeah.
Like, good Lord.
And if you think about it, when he was with the Titans, you know, yeah, he was getting 1,000 yards, you know, because he was with the Titans for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he got 1,000 yards 2 out of those 4 seasons. And he didn't have the most receptions. What stood out about his numbers was the averages, right? 18 yards, 20 yards, 21 yards a catch. I mean, the yak, he's always been a guy that's been capable of doing more with less. Like, think about it from this perspective.
Yeah. He was with six years with the Titans.
Okay, 6 years. He spent 6 years with the Titans. And what were his numbers those 6 years each year, receiving yards wise?
Receiving yards?
Yeah. And read the averages. And read the averages per reception.
10 yards. Hold on. All I'm seeing is Russian stuff. Hold on.
I could have swore it was 3 seasons, but because we picked him up, he was still in a rookie deal.
No, he came out in 2018. 2018 to 2023, he was with the Titans.
Nah, that can't be right, because we signed.
You talking about AJ or Derrick?
AJ Brown.
Oh, my bad. I'm thinking you talking about Derrick.
Oh, no. I'm talking about AJ Brown. Sorry about that. AJ Brown. Look at his reception. Look at his receptions, his yards, and his averages. Like, he's never been a high volume catcher with Tennessee.
He was 1051 in 19, 1075 in 2020, 869 in 21. Then he comes to the Eagles, 1496, 1456, and what
were his averages in Tennessee? His average
yards per reception, 20, 15, and 13.8.
Exactly. So he's been known to be a guy to have, and the receptions is clearly not that high. He's always been a guy that's had to do more with less opportunities. He knows how to do that. He knows how to function in that environment. Now, obviously, his first 2 years in Philly, he was getting. That was the most volume he's ever received at that position. Now you get Saquon, and now he kind of has to get back into his older bag of tricks. And I think that's why when you do see him touch the rock, it seems like he's always trying to take it to the crib. I mean, in that Rams game, it looked like every time AJ had the ball, he was trying to take it to the crib. It really seemed that way. They've been asking him more about how does it feel to play with a guy like Saquon. And the reality is, I think he knows that they're better when he's touching the rock as much as he is. And when he's able to be as dominant as he can be with his opportunities, that takes the team to another level. So I think everyone is slowly but surely beginning to accept what their role is with this current dynamic of a football team. And also, when you draft as well as you do, in terms of, not just talent but mentality, and when you bring certain guys in the building that are more amicable to your game plan, and you're taking care, and also you're taking care of them. You're taking very good care of them financially as well, right? That's the good thing too, right? Not only there are some teams who lessen your touches because they try to make sure you don't cash out on them, right?
Right.
The Eagles, this is strictly game planning. Hey, listen, we paid y'all your money. Hey, AJ, we gave you this money after we got Saquon, right? Or was it before?
Check
I can't
cleared.
remember. Regardless, the check is cleared, so you get paid like you catching 10 catches a game. You feel what I'm saying? So. I think at the end of the day, these guys know what's up, and I think that's why this Philadelphia Eagles team has a chance to do great things, because everybody is accepting their role. Everybody knows when and how they're at their best. I just think the Ravens, I understand they're a great team. I will not take anything away from them. My confidence doesn't come from what the Ravens have done or haven't done. My confidence comes from what the Philadelphia Eagles have done and what they've shown me to be. And
absolutely, and that's Nick Sirianni got to give his props on that one.
Yes.
Got to get his props.
Yes.
Shout out to my boy Lloyd Haskett, man. That's my frat brother.
Shout out to him.
What's up, Lloyd?
Shout out to him, man. And my last word, and I'll let you cook. I'm sorry, man. I think the Ravens are running into a buzzsaw. I really do. I really do. They took every week they tell me this is the test. This is the test. This is the test. Yeah. Every week I've been hearing that. This is the test. And when we pass the test with flying colors, when we dominate the test, they say, well, it was actually a quiz.
There's always a but.
There's always a but.
So
the way I see it, okay, I'll let y'all get that off and call it as a test. And when we put hands and feet on the Ravens and we pluck they fellas, I want to find out if that was still the test or if that was the quiz or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Test prep.
You know me by now, Tone. I don't get involved in all of that kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, they're gonna get on the field and they're gonna hash it out.
Exactly.
And we're gonna see what's what.
Exactly.
And I'm looking at these games, and like I mentioned earlier, man, the further you get along in the season, the margin for error gets thinner and thinner.
Mm-hmm.
You look at what's going on with the Lions right now. Lions are still a good team, but they had a very, very expensive win the other day because they got blasted with injuries the other day. It is very difficult to stay healthy towards the end of the year.
Absolutely.
We going through our little issues. Is Devontae going to play today? We don't know. It's all about who can bring all of their A-game players at 100% towards the end of the season. And we kind of in that boat right now, man. But as far as the Eagles handling the Ravens, I agree with you. I think Vic Fangio is in the zone right now, and he's got it figured out. Whatever he's seeing on film, he just like Saquon, he is seeing everything, and he is having that defense ready to play. So it looked even against the Rams. You look at how that first half looked a little bit like, okay, we got to get it together. They
really just the first quarter. Really just the first quarter. Right. Because they only had 60 rushing. I think as a guesstimate, the Rams had 60 rushing yards in that first quarter. Kyron Williams primarily had most of them, but just to put in perspective, that first quarter they had about 60 rushing yards. They finished the game as a team with like 90.
You're right.
So you put that in perspective.
Well, that they made adjustments quickly. Now, what I will say is we cannot give Derrick Henry a quarter like that.
Agreed. 100%.
So obviously easier said than done, but I trust that Vic Fangio is going to continue to do what he's been doing. He's having that defense ready to play at every level, and they have been performing. So I'm not expecting anything different. I think you 100% right. I think the Eagles have more. I know Jalen Hurts don't like this word, but I think the Eagles have more momentum going into this game. So let's don't say momentum. Let's say the Eagles have been playing defensively more consistent than the Ravens.
Yep.
And that's where it comes into play. Our offensive line has been playing more consistent on the line of scrimmage. So I want to keep that tradition going against the Ravens. I still think our offensive line matches up better than their defensive line.
Agreed 100%. Our offensive line just has what stands out about that offensive line is that they just have so much size on that line, man. It's hard to get in the backfield on those guys. Most of the time when Jalen Hurts gets sacked, it's coverage sacks, not really sacks because they haven't done their job. You know what I mean? So no, you're right, man. I think we have the edge in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But we can't have any mishaps, man. We can't shoot ourselves in the foot. We can't have penalties. Just the normal stuff that we talk about that you can't do. All of those rules still apply.
Yes.
Jalen Hurts can't turn the ball over. All of that type of stuff. All of those stuff, keep the main thing the main thing. The little things, you got to take care of the little things, and you got to take care of. We can't have Quinyon Mitchell dropping picks. We can't have CJ Gardner-Johnson dropping picks.
Yeah.
When you get that opportunity, you got to take it, because Murphy's Law say if you drop a pick or you miss a sack, that next play, they're going to burn you.
We've seen that in week 1.
Yep.
We've seen that in week 1. Nakobe Dean dropped the pick 6. Next play, they took it to the crib. So
absolutely,
I feel you on that. I want to get to some of these numbers real quick, and then we're going to get to our keys to the game, bold predictions, things of that nature. So let me look at these some of these Ravens numbers, right? I know we talked about them being number 1 in the league in red zone efficiency. They have the number 1 red zone offense, the number 3 third down defense, the number 6 fourth down defense. They're ranked number 1 in yards per game, number 2 in points per game. And that's offensively, but their defense is where they can be had again. They have a 23rd ranked defense in terms of points allowed, 24th ranked defense in terms of yards per game allowed. Their third down defense is awful, 25th in the league. Fourth down defense is top 10, they're 8th. Their red zone defense is mediocre, 15th in the league. So you can get by with that, I guess. Their run defense is clearly their calling card. They're holding teams to a league best 3.5 yards per carry. Teams ultimately end up deciding not to run the ball on them. They're number 3 in the league in opponent rushes per game. They tend to wear you down enough where you just give up on the run game. This is going to be a game where the Philadelphia Eagles defense, whether their offense, the discipline on offense is going to be very key, because you don't want to get away from your running game, even though it appears to not be going. And I think Saquon has afforded you that luxury that even if it's a struggle a little bit, keep feeding him. He's going to find it. He's going to figure it out. But their pass defense is so bad this year. It's night and day compared to where they were last year. We all thought the Ravens defense would be much more sound, but for some reason they have not been doing well on the back end. They've dealt with injuries, but this has been a year-long thing. They're 26th in the league in terms of opponent yards per pass. Teams are averaging over 7 yards a pass attempt. Teams throw the ball on them like crazy. They're ranked dead last in opponent pass attempts per game. So teams end up passing on them a lot. That partially is because their run defense is so good. They're just really compromised on the back end, really, really strong on the front end. It's going to be really interesting to see how, from a game planning perspective, how Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni handle that. I think their discipline is going to be just as valuable as the discipline required of those defensive players when it comes to controlling the edges and containing Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, man. I'm really, really hoping, man, that that Kellen Moore, they've looked at enough film, and they should know without a shadow of a doubt what Saquon is best at. And you can't force feed the middle. Let's stretch the defense out and let Saquon do what he's been doing the past 5 weeks. It's not complicated. I still wish they would use a little bit more of the screen game, but in my heart of hearts, I'm hoping they're saving that for the playoffs.
Well, we've seen. I think they broke out that screen game in that Rams game.
Yeah.
They tried to hit Saquon a couple times, but the first time he slipped.
Yeah,
but then the second time they got him on one, and it was a pretty good. I felt like personally that Rams game was one of the more creative game plans I've seen from them.
Well, here's my only question, and I got to go back and look at the plays again. Were they screen plays, or were they just Jalen Hurts immediately going to the check down?
Find the check down.
Yeah. So that's
a good question. That's a good question.
You know, I think there may have been a screen in there once, but you know, when I say screen, I'm going back and looking at what they used to do with Brian Westbrook, what they used to do when Darren Sproles was here, when Andy Reid had that screen game rolling and couldn't nobody stop it. We had that last year with DeAndre Swift and we didn't use it, or they just didn't have the plays in the playbook, because it makes no sense to have those type of weapons and you not do it. You know what I'm saying? So, but again,
and there's kind of blockers at that. So yeah.
But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because I know a lot now, and again, I don't think about this until it pops up. But now maybe the screen game is getting toned down for the same reason the RPOs get toned down, because now you got that ineligible man downfield. They don't have that 4-yard buffer. So as an offensive lineman, it's very, very difficult to stay behind the line of scrimmage. So you got different things that you got to think of, you know, that what was that? Was that the Chiefs game where they called illegal formation like 2 or 3 times in a row or something like that? Because the offensive tackle or the tight end keeps lining up too far back.
Oh, you're talking about that Chiefs Ravens game at the beginning of the season?
No. This was last week, I believe. Was last week.
I remember vividly though, in that Ravens game in week 1, they were abusing that Ravens offensive line with penalties. I mean, it seemed like they were trying to send a message.
Well, they did, and the league has been known for doing that, because they're trying to get people to get on board. It's like, listen, all right, I'm telling you. All right, your grace period is over, so you can't do that anymore. And they trying to keep that thing in force, and that ineligible man downfield, that is rough for an offensive lineman, because your natural instinct is, once you get the block, is to go, especially if it's an RPO. So that essentially eliminates the RPO, because the offensive lineman, they don't know what you're running. So even if it only works if you run it. If you decide to keep it and throw the ball, and they 3 yards down the field, it's coming back.
Yeah, for sure.
We got to keep that. We got to keep that in mind.
Definitely, it's going to be a fascinating matchup, nonetheless. Both teams are supremely talented in their own right, and overall, I think this is a big test for the Philadelphia Eagles. Right? I know I joke a lot, and I say they always talk about a test. I do believe this game legitimately should be the test if there was one. All those other games, I'm not buying the test that they're selling here. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to get to our predictions and keys to the game, and then we're going to close this thing out. So I'm looking at Des. One thing he says: what great running back has his number 2 rushing defense seen? I say we make him prove it. Hey man. Oh, I see what you're saying. What great running back has this number 2? Okay, got you. I see what you're saying. Hey, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting, man. I guess you do got to think about the running backs that they have faced, the Ravens, that is, the offensive lines they faced, and you ask yourself, do any of those offensive lines or running backs measure up to what the Philadelphia Eagles provide? Then you throw in the Jalen Hurts effect as well. Do any of them have that combination of quarterback, offensive line, and running back at that talent level? I think both teams are going to be facing a huge test when you consider those combinations. What quarterback, offensive line, running back combination have the Eagles faced that matches something like this? So I think you're right, but it goes both ways, right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But I do like that post, Des. One thing, it's going to be interesting to see how both teams deal with that combination of talent at quarterback, running back, and O-line. Thank you, Des. S. Blunt with the $5 super chat. Thank you, big dog. He says B More will be in base defense much of this game as they run two back or two tight information. Do you think DeJean Mitchell as outside corners versus Rodgers and Mitchell? Well, I want to keep DeJean in the slot. That allows him freedom to roam a little bit. I want to keep DeJean in that slot. To your point, though, I would much rather have Mitchell and Ringo out there. I feel like Ringo is a better tackler than Isaiah Rodgers. Obviously,
they got to get Keely Ringo some snaps, man.
Yeah, obviously, Fangio must have Isaiah Rodgers out there because he must feel he trusts him more with what he's been asked to do. That's the only reason you're on the field if Vic Fangio got you out there. He trusts. And I want to
see Rodgers with a full week of practice, knowing he's a starter.
Right, that part.
Not being thrown in cold.
Right, and I think we've seen that before, at least once this year. Was Slay, but regardless, though, I think Ringo, the size he brings at the cornerback position, and the physicality, I think he'll be better suited for this game. That's just my humble opinion.
I agree with you.
J62 Moon, he says Saquon over under 120. Ooh, that's a good question. Are we talking all purpose or are we talking rushing yards? Because all purpose, I'll say yes. Rushing yards will be interesting. Because again, this is the #1 run defense in the league.
I'm gonna say yes.
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes, regardless if it's all purpose or if it's just run.
Until somebody can stop him, I'm saying yes.
I'm going yes because I feel like Saquon is on a heater right now.
Right.
I feel like he's on a heater right now, and it's you played the position, you played the game. Like when you're in the zone, it takes a lot for somebody to knock you out of it. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. All right. Thank you, Jay. Green Wingman with the $10 super chat. He says Eagles have to put points on early and quickly in the first quarter. If they decide to pass while going death by 1,000 cuts on defense and slow down Henry and live or die by the results. Yeah. Hey, man, I do agree. They got to score early. In that Rams game, they were moving the ball. They had opportunities to put up 14 points in that first quarter, but they had to settle for field goals. I think that's going to be the difference. The team that dominates the red zone much better than the other will win the game. The team who takes advantage of their opportunities will win this game. Field goals won't win this game.
Agreed.
All right.
You got to put the ball in the end zone, and that makes the Ravens dangerous because they red zone percentage is good, man. Damn good.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Lloyd Haskett with the $10 super chat. He said, keep doing what y'all doing. Go Birds. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Lloyd. Appreciate the love.
You, Frap.
Yes, sir. All right. So as we begin to close the show, my brother, give me your keys to the game offensively and defensively for the Philadelphia Eagles. How do they win this game if that's the case?
Defensive line got to win that line of scrimmage, and they got to get to King Henry before he gets to line of scrimmage. Obviously, that's not going to happen every play, but you can limit his momentum because once he gets past the line of scrimmage, he's dangerous. But our get off on the defensive line has been phenomenal the past 4 weeks. Jalen Carter has been nigh unstoppable. So, and we talked about that before, Tone. If they are double teaming Jalen Carter, somebody else has got to eat. Milt Williams has been stepping up. Josh Sweat has been stepping up. Nolan Smith has been stepping up. So if Jalen Carter can continue to do what he's been doing, I think we can have success in slowing down Derrick Henry. So I think if more than any other game, I think Jalen Carter is going to be the key to this game.
Yeah, I would even throw in Jordan Davis in there as well.
Yeah.
He has to be a brick wall today. He has to win his matchups today for sure. Like you said, we put it on tape already that we were capable of stopping Derrick Henry. So it's just a matter of executing. And I trust Vic Fangio to make the necessary adjustments at this point in the season. He's done it a lot, and he's done it on the fly as well. So shout out to him. Let's get to the bold predictions. Do you have any bold predictions for this matchup, my friend? Anything out of this world that may shock the system of our viewers?
That might shock? What can we do that was shocked? I
know, right?
All right, here's a bold prediction. Let me get Saquon plus 100 yards rushing, and Jalen plus 300 passing.
That means that sounds like a domination.
Yes, that's my bold prediction.
That sounds like a domination. So 300 for Hurts, over 100 for Saquon. My bold prediction is I'm gonna go on the offensive side of the ball today too. I normally do defense, but why not? My bold prediction today will be AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley both go over 150.
Nice.
And they both score a touchdown. So that's 300 yards and 2 touchdowns between AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty bold. That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
All right. And now let's get to our score predictions. What you got in this game, man? What's your score prediction?
This is a tough one, man.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough one.
Either it's going to be a shootout or it's going to be a knuckle dragger.
I'm going to say 24-21 Eagles.
I'm going to say 27. I'm going to say 27-24 Eagles.
Okay.
27-24. You said 24-21?
Yes.
I'm saying 27-24. 27-24 Eagles. All right, there you have it, you guys. 27-24 Eagles, and it's looking like Devontae Smith will be playing.
Okay, somebody said he was out. But
last thing I seen was he should be good to go. He was limited in practice.
Yeah, it looks like Michael Pierce is out for the Ravens. Arthur Marlette is out. Kolar. I don't see Van Noy is out.
Oh wow. Okay.
It says he's doubtful. I don't see anything about Roquan Smith, so he's probably playing.
Yeah, so Devontae Smith, he was limited on Thursday and Friday, so he's questionable for today. I think he plays. Darius Slay's been ruled out. Johnny Wilson is ruled out.
Is he?
Yeah, with a hamstring. He didn't practice all week. So I think Devontae plays in this game. I do. He was limited Thursday and Friday. After not practicing Wednesday, I think he plays.
Hold on. Roquan had full practice on Friday. Michael Pierce full practice. Malay Kolar did not practice. Jones,
Michael Pierce is ruled out. He's out.
Yeah.
And Arthur
Van Noy is out.
Millar's out. Van Noy is considered doubtful, but I guess he's out on your end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roquan Smith is putting full participant. I think he plays. Anyway,
Sidney Brown questionable.
Yeah.
Devontae Smith is questionable. So.
Yeah, I think they both play though. I think they both play. Yeah. Nonetheless, though, you guys, it's been a very, very fun show. We had an amazing turnout. Please, before you guys go, make sure you guys smash that like button. The math ain't math, and I'm looking at some of these numbers here, and I'm looking at the like buttons, and it's not adding up. So before you guys go, let's go on the like spree. If you guys haven't already,
likes.
We got over 200 people in this live stream, man. We need more likes in the building. So let's go on a quick like spree. Let's try to get this thing to over 100 likes, y'all. Y'all got one job and one job only, and that's to hold it down for the boys, man.
You got one job.
One job is to sit back, kick your feet up, and hit that like button. Well, that sounds like 3 jobs, but you get what I mean. You get what I mean, y'all. Smash that like button. You guys are truly valuable to what we're building here. The love that you guys share is always felt. And we don't take it for granted at all. The content doesn't move without the people. So make sure you guys, again, stay locked in, and please stay locked in. Smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to my man, Coach Marcus at Pro Fan Talk. Again, that's Pro Fan Talk, one of the best, one of the fastest growing channels out there covering your Philadelphia Eagles. So make sure you guys lock in with Pro Fan Talk. And make sure you guys also lock in with me, Tone DeShields II at Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Once again, that's Chalk It Up Sports. Make sure you guys lock in. Hey, Marcus, take us out of here, man, and it's Flag Was Fly.
You already know.
In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Marcus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights, dashing like a running back, hitting every play. 9 guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle, soaring in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by, bringing their heat. always standing by. Bringing the heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.